Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Ricardo. I'm head designer here at Florida Noble, and today I'll be showing you guys step by step on how to recreate this arrangement. Let's get started. Let's break down everything that we need. So starting with our materials, you're gonna need a good pair of shears. You're gonna need some scissors, some floral tape. I buy it from a company called Oasis. We're gonna need a knife to cut up the foam, a plastic dish. This is a 9-inch dish. You can recreate this with pretty much any size, but for this specific arrangement, we're doing 9-inch. 2 pieces of floral foam. And we're also gonna be using chicken wire. I'll explain later on in the video why we're using chicken wire and how we're gonna use it, but you're definitely gonna want to use some chicken wire. And this is optional, but turntable. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. I bought this off of Amazon. You can go to Target, Home Goods, wherever. It's like in a kitchen or the culinary section, I guess you could say. It's just a simple turntable. It's gonna help you design. It is a lifesaver. I highly, highly recommend it, but definitely not necessary. We're gonna go ahead and line up our 2 rectangles of foam. We have them flat, and with our dish, we're gonna measure out how much of this foam we need. Gently press on the foam, and you're gonna get an outline of what we need. With our knife now, we're gonna cut all the excess foam. Cut that off, and we're pretty much just gonna go all around. All right, it does not have to be perfect. Please do not stress about having the perfect shape. It's just not worth it, and it's not gonna make a huge difference, I promise you. So let's throw all of this stuff away. So now, this is a very crucial part. Yes, you can kind of just put this directly into the dish, but it's not going to be flush, and there's going to be a little bit of a gap from the foam to the bottom of the dish. So what we're going to do instead of putting it directly in, we're going to go ahead and start cutting off a little bit at the bottom, and that's going to help kind of fit flush into this round part of the dish. So going around, cutting this off just a little bit. Again, does not have to be perfect. That's something that I stressed and took a lot of time on in the beginning when I started designing, was being a perfectionist. And yes, there's a good balance between perfecting what you're creating, but also being too tedious, where if you're doing an event doing 17 centerpieces, you don't have time to spend an hour or 2 hours on one centerpiece. You kind of have to get the gears going. So now this fits a lot better. It is completely flush. You can kind of hear it at the bottom. Now we're at this step. We still have one more thing to do. This is where we're going to use our dish, actually. So right now we have an angled edge. We have this little corner at the top. You can just leave it like this, but I would highly recommend cutting the edge off. Let me show you what I mean by that. So what we're doing, we're cutting off that corner, and what this is gonna do, this is gonna allow us to have more surface area to work with. And now we have 1, 2, 3 points to put the stem, versus when it was a corner, we only had the top and the side to put the stem in. So again, more surface area means for just a better design, and just makes your life a lot easier. So now we've got that going. If this was a smaller arrangement and I wasn't adding so many flowers, I would just tape it as it is right now. But since we are using a lot of flowers, I would highly, highly recommend adding some chicken wire. What this is gonna do, it's gonna add another layer of security, and it's gonna help keep the foam compact. As we're adding stems, more and more stems, the foam does start to crumble and start to break apart. I had a really bad experience. One of my first large weddings, I had to do an arrangement even bigger than the one that I'm making right now, and everything was fine the day of, but then transporting, it started to like kind of move around. I got to the actual event and I had like 4 or 5 arrangements that were splitting apart. It was an absolute nightmare. That's why it's always good to always take extra flowers. I had extra flowers, I redid everything, but it was a nightmare. Definitely not necessary if you take the proper precautions, I guess you could say. So again, long story short, use chicken wire if you don't want your arrangements falling apart the day of your wedding. So this isn't the perfect size, so I'm kind of bending it a little bit. Almost tucking it into the actual dish. All right, that's good enough. I'm gonna take off my gloves right now because it is a little difficult to work with the tape. But now that we've got everything prepped, we can go ahead and add the tape. Let's see if I can find the opening. There we go. All right, so for this, simply gonna do kind of just a cross in the middle. Down the middle. If you really want to, you could do like a 2x2 grid, but I don't think it's necessary for this arrangement. Again, if I had something larger, a lot more stems, I definitely would do a 2x2 or 3x3 grid, but isn't necessary for this one. But now that I have taped the sides down, I'm gonna go around the rim and I'm gonna secure everything in place. At this point, it's not too secure and it does have a good chance of coming apart. So I would recommend doing this last step. Now everything is secure. So this is part one, preparation. Let's go ahead, let's grab our flowers and let's start designing. We're gonna do 12 stems of white hydrangea and I have 12 white roses. I'm using Tibet, you can use Playa Blanca, you can use, oh my gosh, why am I blinking? You can use Eskimo, you can use Vandella, you can use, I don't know, there's so many white roses, but this rose variety is Tibet, so that's what we're gonna use today. And then for our greens, we're gonna be using lemon leaf. This is also known as, there's a different name for this. I forget what they like to call it, but I know it as lemon leaf. There's the box here. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and stick with lemon leaf. Really, really important when working with flowers is working with the individual shape of the flower. This stem is a little more straight up. This stem is kind of curved, as you can see. I'll definitely be using this towards the bottom and this towards the top. You just have to work with what you've got, honestly. Again, this one kind of has the head straight up. This one, not so much. I almost forgot. We're gonna be using alum powder for the hydrangea. This essentially keeps the pores of the hydrangea open. Hydrangeas are a very thirsty flower. They require a lot of water, hence the name hydrangea. The hide is it means water. I don't know from what language, but it means water. So they definitely require a lot of water. So what the alum powder does, it helps keep the pores open so that they can drink water sufficiently. We went ahead and put in our first stem at the bottom. I like to work from the bottom up. Depends on the style, but usually from the bottom up. And I'm a very symmetrical person. I love symmetry. I get very frustrated when things aren't symmetrical, especially my arrangements. So one way that I'm able to be consistent with my designs is that I'm very pattern oriented. Instead of adding 6 stems all around, starting from here and then kind of working around, I add my first stem here and then directly across I'll add my second stem. Boom, we have 2 stems now, but they're directly across from each other. I kind of look at them from the side. Okay, this one I might tuck in just a little bit more. Now we're even, cool. If I was doing 4 stems, I would have then done a stem in the middle and then another one across from it. But since we're doing 6 stems, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of work around now. So I'm gonna do one on the side, do this one on the side, and then now my 4th stem is gonna be directly across. Dipping it in alum powder. Boom. Now our last 2 stems. It's literally like a puzzle piece almost. And this is the same pattern that I'll use for all of my arrangements. Hey guys, I will go ahead and read the comments in just a second. Start with our 5 hydrangeas at the middle level now, making these stems a lot longer than the bottom level. Boom, so we got one there. And now for this one, I am gonna be working around. Ooh, that guy does not look too happy. Nor does that guy. Okay, now it's kind of bald, but that's fine. Again, we have to work with what we have. Nature is always gonna come in different shapes and sizes, and you can't get too frustrated when a hydrangea isn't its prettiest or the shape isn't right. You just have to work with it, because you're not always gonna get the best looking flowers or the best shaped flowers. For these now, we're kind of angling them. We don't want them, obviously we don't want them upright, but we don't want them too angled either. So it's kind of halfway in between, almost like I would not say a 45-degree angle. I would say more like a 50-degree or 60-degree angle. Not super angled, but not super straight either. Anyways, I don't know anything about geometry. I know about flower designing, so I don't even know why I'm giving you angles, but yeah, that's my best way to explain it. So we have 2 now at the top. This is our 3rd. Hydrangeas are very delicate flowers. It's weird, they can be very delicate, but then they can also be very sturdy. It just depends on the time of the year and the batch. So that's our 3rd. We're gonna add our 4th hydrangea. And then our 5th. There's literally only 1 spot left. So this takes years of knowing how to space everything out, the angling and all that. So although I am doing a step-by-step tutorial, you have to know exactly how angled and how long the stem is gonna be. Again, that just takes time, but the only way you can get there is by practicing. So please, if you're following along, don't get too frustrated. Just try again, keep trying, try different styles, and you'll get it eventually, I promise you. I was very discouraged when I first started designing, and it's funny because I see people, they follow me, people look up to me, people will call me the best florist in the world. I'm definitely not the best florist in the world, but people will say that, right? But it's funny because at a point I did think, I thought of not designing. I asked myself, like, what am I getting myself into? Like, this isn't for me. Like, I messed up. I had quit a better paying job. I took a pay cut to start working at a flower shop because I really wanted to learn how to design. After the first month, I got very frustrated, and I questioned what I was doing in that flower shop. It was a really interesting point in my life, but I did see it through, and it was like almost this little hump or this little hurdle I had to go over, and then it was better after that. But moral of the story, just keep trying. You're gonna get it eventually, I promise you. we're using a total of 14 roses. I believe I said 12 earlier, but we're actually gonna do 14 roses. And again, we're gonna start at the bottom and work our way up. Now for my roses, I'm gonna be using a liquid called Quick Dip, Quick-Dip, Quick Dip. You can buy it at Sam's Club, you can buy it at Costco probably, you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it at a local floral supply store. Essentially, it's just a hydrating solution. It almost does the same thing that the alum powder does to the hydrangea. It keeps the pores open and it prevents them from closing so fast, which essentially helps the actual rose keep drinking water. So I definitely recommend it. I should definitely run like a test on how much of a difference it makes. I definitely know it gives me a peace of mind, so that's why I use it. But yeah, I suggest trying it out. The bottle itself maybe like $20–30, but it lasts a while, so it really isn't that expensive if you think about it. It's an investment. All right, so we're gonna add 6 at the bottom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the bottom right now. We're gonna add our 6 here at the bottom. There we go. So now we're left with 12 more stems. No, not 12. We're left with 8 more stems. I'm sorry. That's why I'm a florist, not a math teacher. We're left with 8 more stems, and at this point, it's kind of just plug and play. We have the frame essentially down, and we're just looking for really empty bald spots, and we're gonna add a rose there. So this is a perfect example of why the turntable is so essential. I could move to the other side within a second. If you don't have the turntable, you kind of have to move and lug everything around. It just takes a lot of time. Spots here at the top. I'm not sure if I already said it, but these flowers are actually for quinceañera. For those of you unfamiliar with quinceañera, quinceañera is basically a 15th birthday in Mexican culture. It's like a coming of age for women. So this is what it's for, quinceañera. Tomorrow is the wedding, which cutting it a little close, but the only reason I'm cutting it this close is because hydrangeas do scare me. I do prep them properly, I keep them refrigerated, but you never know. And currently at this very moment, it is May 19th, 2022. There is a huge shortage on hydrangea, and if these hydrangeas wilt, I literally cannot find, or I will not be able to find hydrangea anywhere else. Anyways, back to the arrangement. Look at how beautiful it looks so far. You have the shape already. Oh man, this is just a beautiful color. I think this is a great wedding arrangement too. Very simple, very conservative as well. It's not very expensive. You're looking at maybe $150, which isn't super expensive for the size, right? I could have easily used a lot of smaller flowers, and that could have been more expensive, but hey, it's not a bad deal. Look at that. All right. So now we're gonna start adding our greens. Let's do that. I put this centerpiece on top of a bucket with my turntable still. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start from the bottom up, same pattern as we were doing with the flowers. I feel like it's a lot easier to hide the mechanics when I have it elevated. Sometimes when you're from like a higher point of view, you don't see certain parts of the mechanics that you should have hidden, I guess you can say. And since this arrangement is going to be sitting on top of a tall base, I do want to make sure to cover everything from this point of view, because as people are dining, they're going to see this POV. So want to make sure to cover that. So definitely using a bucket to elevate it is going to help a lot. A good florist, a great florist rather, is going to hide all their mechanics. I think that's it's almost like, if you're a florist, you're almost like a magician too, right? You show up the day of the event and you have these outstanding arches and these outstanding centerpieces, but to the average person, they're like, wow, like how is that done? That's why you're paid such a premium price if you're in an experienced and a well-known florist, because most people don't know how to even create that. You can give them all the materials. It's not about the money at that point. It's about the skill and the knowledge, because it takes a lot of time and hours and effort to create things like this. Like this one centerpiece, granted I am doing a tutorial, but this is gonna take maybe close to an hour, maybe 45, 50 minutes. We're doing 17 of these, so time adds up. Like it's not just the price of the product. People like to say, oh well, flowers aren't that expensive, I can do it myself. Like, okay, like do it yourself. I'm not begging you to hire me. I just can make your life easier. How about that? And I can make something beautiful. So that's my business model, I guess. I'm not here to give you the best prices, the cheapest prices. I'm here to give you a high quality of work, better than most. I'm not gonna say I'm the best, but I would like to say I'm an above average florist in the most humble way. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand with my work. All right, so we've got that done. Now that I finished greening the bottom, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take it off of the bucket and we're gonna start working with it as we were previously at a lower level. There. A little bit of green here. At this point, again, all the technical stuff are out the door. At this point, we're just playing plug and play. Where it looks bald, wherever it looks like it needs some green, that's where we're gonna add some greenery. Alright guys, there we have it. This is gonna be the final product. Tomorrow, we're gonna be placing these centerpieces on top of a tall clear base. It's gonna look super pretty. Make sure to check out my TikTok. It's gonna be FLORE_NOVO, Florida_Novo. I'm gonna be posting a video and kind of documenting the day of the wedding. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be uploading YouTube videos a lot more from now on. I recently just got a camera. I do have to get a microphone for it to increase the quality. I know the mic is not the best right now, so I do apologize for that, but I hope the visuals were okay. Subscribe, hit the YouTube notification button to never miss a video, and follow my TikTok. Again, that's FLORE_NOVO. My name's Ricardo. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.